Futurama is one of my favorite adult animated shows of all time, with its colorful and varied cast, pretty visuals, great character design, creative world building, a good sense of humor, and of course, a long list of creative episodes they made. With the premise of a show in the future, of course it must have some great episodes on its arsenal. So, without more introductions, I present you the first top 10 of the channel. And as a disclaimer, this list is based on my own opinion and likings, so be free to share your favorite top 10 episodes in the comments. After the events of the episode of Flight to Remember, Kif is tempted to ask Amy on a date. Sab decides to make it a double date so he will have a chance to date Leela. At the La Palme d'Orbit, the date goes horribly because of Sab's book of sexist remarks, a failed karaoke segment, and the ship crash landing on planet Amazonia. Fry and Bender arrive to save them, but they end up captured just like the four they try to save. The survival of the male characters is put on jeopardy for mocking the planet's basketball and comedy. Things got worse when one of the Amazons asks Amy about what are men used for, and she whispers something that leads to the conclusion they are useful for snoo. This is a type of fate that will result in a crushed pelvis, and now this will be the sweet but tragic fate of our male heroes. Bender was lucky he was a robot, but the other three were not. When he went to reason with Femputer, it is revealed, just like the curtain man in The Wizard of Oz, it was a fembot controlling the Amazons.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken.
Who are you?
Bender uses amazing skills to make her change her mind and liberate our men. Everything ends well. Amy and Kif finally are together, Bender took with him many treasures, and Fry and Sab's pelvises were turned to ash.
Oh yeah.
I had snoo.
This was a funny episode, but it's nothing compared to what's coming next. Ever since Fry ended up in the future, he was making things hard at the Planet Express, so he is sent to live with Bender at his apartment. Sadly, Bender's apartment wasn't designed for humans, so Leela helps them find a new apartment. Their search takes them to a luxurious apartment, both quickly make their home. But there was a problem. The building's TV reception was damaging because of Bender's antenna. Fry doesn't want to cause problems with the neighbors, so he kicks Bender out of his home. This was of course a wrong thing to do, and this causes Bender to run into a depression that causes him to malfunction and rust. Leela ends up confronting Fry about this, and Bender returns to the apartment to threat to cut off his antenna to stay with Fry. Both realize that they can't be fighting for something meaningless as TV, so after fixing Bender's antenna, they return to the apartment in words revealed that his apartment had a closet that resembled the right apartment for a human. Fry's life in 1999 was terrible. His girlfriend left him, his job was terrible, and someone made him a prank delivery at a cryonics center. After tripping by mistake on one of the tubes, he was frozen until he woke up in the year 2999.
Whew. God.
Due to him being assigned a new job that was the same as the past, he escapes and explores around the future.
Cool.
While Leela searches him to place his job chip, Fry meets Bender for the first time, and both end up in the undergrounds of the old New York.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
Leela sympathizes with Fry after realizing he was losing it a new time, so she decides to quit her job removing her chip and befriends Bender and Fry. They arrive at Planet Express where they encounter Fry's nephew, Professor Farnsworth, and the rest is history. The professor's age is causing a lot of problems for the crew, so they travel to the bubbling geyser for a rejuvenized section. To make the process more effective, he is sent to the hot tar's tub, and to make the process fast, Bender pumps the levers which cause the tar to fall off him and the other members of the Planet Express. Even though this works and the professor is 53 years of age, the others end up with 14 years of age. While the professor tries to find a way to help the crew, Leela decides to take the opportunity, have the life as a teen she couldn't have. After some teenage shenanigans, the professor finally finds a solution, but this sadly backfires for everyone, de-aging them within seconds, including the professor. To become older again, they travel to the dark side of the galaxy to find the fountain of aging. And when the team is about to age up, they get stuck. Leela decides to sacrifice her youth and save them. In a strange way, Leela got the wish she wanted to have a childhood with her parents, which is one of the reasons this episode is on this list, considering one of my favorite characters of the show is Leela. But despite that, I still love my two other favorite characters of the show more, Bender and, shockingly, Zoidberg. Before you say it, yes, some of the footage here is gonna be photos because I don't have a capture card, so sorry for that.
Yo, sexy mama, let's get busy and freaky, in that order.
Hey, Jumbo, how would you like it if Leela said you were sexy and she wanted to make love with you?
I got 5 minutes. She looks pretty good for a truck stop chick.
You take that back. She does not look good for a truck stop chick.
What did you say? Yeah, you're right. She don't got enough meat for a guy like me.
She does too. She's loaded with meat. She's got more meat than a...
Arby's, we have the meats.
Fry ends up eating an egg salad sandwich from a gas station that is obviously terrible. The sandwich may not be the biggest thing until it's discovered that this sandwich was made with worm parasites that form a civilization inside his stomach. The professor, along with Amy, Bender, and Zoidberg, went inside the stomach of Fry to eliminate them. To avoid Fry from noticing this, Leela and Fry go for a walk, and we discover some positives made by the parasites. These parasites managed to make Fry smarter, stronger, and many more that made me wish I had them inside me.
Sorries, ma'am. I've learned the lesson about not ogling cans that I won't soon forget.
If only. Leela likes the new Fry and shrinks herself to avoid the crew from eliminating the parasites. After Fry learns the truth, he enjoys it at first, since it means he could be with Leela and play the hardest instrument in the Futurama universe, the holophone. However, Fry realizes that Leela was liking him for something he wasn't, and decides to confront the parasites. And once he eliminates the parasites, we realize that Leela was indeed liking him for something he wasn't. But not everything is bad. At least seasons later, they finally became a couple. A new Christmas is on New York, meaning another day to protect themselves from the evil robot Santa. But sadly, Fry, Leela, and Bender are forced to deliver letters to him on Neptune. The darkest aspect of these letters is that are from kids who are asking him not to harm their families. Fry decides to bring back Christmas the way it was before, and Leela decides to help him. At Neptune, they're greeted by the Neptunians who, ironically, want a plushie of them. I mean, look at them, they're adorable. But they have drinking problems, economic problems, and short stature for lack of food. They used to make toys for Robot Santa before he became evil. With the help of the two of them, the trio arrives and try to paradox him, but this doesn't work. But they successfully manage to trap him on the ground. With him trapped, the Neptunians became motivated to make toys, and Bender decides to replace Santa.
Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!
Yes, the Neptunians stripped. People are still afraid, but at least he tried to deliver the toys. But after he went to relax, he is trapped and sent to trial. In order to avoid Bender from being executed, Fry and Leela tried to take the Robot Santa with them, but quickly regretted. But this just made Robot Santa follow them. At the execution, Robot Santa is there and saves Bender. He saves him and takes him to have fun on his Christmas massacres. Even though Christmas didn't return for what it was once, the crew was still together. And being together is something that Christmas is about. After Antonio Calculon's Jr. breakdown on All My Circuits, the show opened a casting call for a replacement, and Bender decides to audition despite this being for child robots. He manages to get the role despite Calculon's grudge against him, but on the set, Bender goes over the top, which gets the attention of the channel executives who decide to make Bender part of the show.
But, sir, children watch this show. Bender's no role model, he's a filthmonger.
Off topic, as an Hispanic Latin guy who was in contact with soap operas, I find it kinda interesting that All My Circuits, a soap opera, is watched by kids despite many soap operas being for adults. Because of Bender, the kids of the show, Cuber, Dwight, and Tiny Tim, Teeny Tim, start to replicate Bender's acts in the show. And we all know Bender isn't a role model. The professor and Hermes form a protest to cancel Bender, and he joins them after the kids stole some things from his house to make a party on the Planet Express. The dads and Bender arrive to tear down the program, and in life, Bender gives a speech that made the parents realize that if the kids imitated Bender's actions, then they are the ones that fail as parents. Bender may have quit, but his speech was inspiring enough to make me love him more.
Have you ever tried simply turning off the TV, sitting down with your children, and hitting them?
We're just so busy.
Well, make time.
Say that again?
And hitting them?
Taste the pain, 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 taste the pain. Take that.
Bender feels he isn't truly important to the crew, but this changes during a travel to Osiris 4 to deliver a giant sandstone block. This planet was similar to the era of ancient Egypt, and by accident the trio are forced to become slaves in charge of building Pharaoh Hermentotip's pyramid.
Impressive. Who's building it?
You.
Say again?
You are now slaves of the great Pharaoh Hermentotip. Guards?
No. Wait.
After the Pharaoh gets crushed by part of his tomb, Bender tries to save him, but it's too late. But on the bright side, when Bender sneaks, he immerses himself on the wall to become chosen as the new Pharaoh.
You know what else stinks about being a slave? The hours.
Oh my god. And his empire is, let's just say, he's far worse than any Pharaoh in history. Bender got what he wanted, but at the cost of his own friends, and his dictatorship caused him to be thrown alive to his own tomb alongside Leela. With the help of liquid explosives, they escape the tomb and the planet. Bender realizes he doesn't need a statue to be remembered, and they return home. A fun episode with Bender's level of mischief.
Let a whole new wave of cruelty wash over this lazy land!
The government spent everyone on the planet $300 to spend, which is the amount of money I wish I could have it with me right now.
I'm slightly richer!
What to do? One $300 hooker bot or $301 hooker bots?
I'm gonna swim with a whale. They're the gentle giants of the deep.
I'm well aware of that. Scruffy's gonna get himself one of them $300 haircuts.
Bruh, look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No.
What I love about this episode is how each of the crew spend their money. Fry drinks 100 cups of coffee, Amy makes herself a talking tattoo, Professor bought stem cells to look young, and Kif buys a special clock for Amy that accidentally gets eaten by a whale.
Hey, Gordon Gecko! I cost as much as this whole crummy date!
Move this man! You need to leave!
And if I had myself that amount of money with me, I would personally buy myself a trip to Japan because that is something I always wanted to do. The only character who couldn't find any way to spend his money is Soyberg, who doesn't feel satisfied by the way rich people spend their money, and so he, at the end of the episode, decides to use his money to share it with some homeless people and his friends with a hot dog brunch. This episode made me realize how much having too much money can make people act, and it's an episode that made me relate to Soyberg in a strange way. Yes, I felt identified with Soyberg.
What the f*** is going on?
We finally arrived to my favorite episode of all time. The trio are hungry after a delivery, and they arrive to a planet where they find some strange nuggets that have a taste similar to shrimp. These things were too addictive, they brought them back home, and they decided to name them Popplers and sell them on the streets. Later, they get a deal with Joe Gilman, the CEO of Fishy Joe, who helps them increase their business. While some James Gunn's BFF, animal rights activists, were protesting outside of Planet Express, Leela discovers a horrible truth. The Popplers were alive creatures, and worse, they are the babies of the Omicrons. Lord Lur wants Earth to give him the same amount of Popplers everyone on Earth ate. Exactly a total of 198 billion humans if you want the amount of humans the Omicrons want to eat.
Well, that went okay. I tell you, when you know you can't scratch, that's when you really have to, huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, that feels a lot better. What? It's still on? Oh!
Sab manages to make Lur change his mind, and Lur decides to only eat Leela since she was the one who started all of this. Sam's love for Leela makes him try to avoid her death using an orangutan decoy, but the leader of the animal activists ends up ruining the plan. Luckily, the baby Omicronian that Leela saved, whose name is Jur, saves her with a great speech that manages to convince his kind to stop the revenge and avoid Leela's demise. And the best part is that annoying activist is eaten by Lur. You know what? Forget it. Lur is my favorite character of Futurama. No questions asked. And that was the first top 10 of the channel. Feel free to share your own top 10 episodes of Futurama in the comment section. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends and family. And I'll see you next month.